How do you feel about coaching against Gary Ablett this week for the first time?
Yeah, it's a bit different because every time I've been around Gary, he's been in the same team. So yeah, look, it makes it a little bit different. It makes me probably really well prepared, I think, because I know how great a player he is. I think everyone knows how great a player he is. So we just got to be very mindful. He's one part of their team, though.
A few text messages between the pair of you during the week?
That's not. Gary and I always talk. I mean, it's this week, yeah, we talk, but we talk every other week too, pretty much. And it's not an unusual thing for me and Gary to have a conversation.
He's described you as a bit of an inside word on whether or not he'll play.
I expect Gary to play. I had absolutely no doubt that he'll play. He's a very competitive person.
He's described you as being a bit of a father figure and key mentor in his career, probably the biggest mentor. Is he a bit like a son to you in some regards?
Look, we're very close. We have been for a long time, and you know, I think he's an amazing footballer first and foremost, but I think he's also an incredible person. And he's you know, just the way he does things, the way he goes about things. He's a really giving sort of a fella. So you know, I obviously very good and fond memories of Gary, and look forward to him playing well every other week bar this week.
How important to stop him, obviously, because I guess he's the key to the game, isn't he?
Oh, look, he's their captain, he's their best player, and you know, but there's some really good players up there, some really young players up there. They've got an enormous amount of talent, and we know that there's not just certainly Gary to stop. And you know, their form up there this year, and I know at the back end of last year, the form at Metricon was really strong.
Ken, your knowledge of the Suns, you were there for a while. How much of an advantage does that give you this weekend?
Oh, I hope it gives you some advantage, but sometimes it can be the opposite, I reckon. You can sometimes think you know too much about them. And I think the important thing for us is that we need to focus on what we've been doing. You know, and that's our main thing for the week is let's make sure we do what we need to do well, not think that we know everything about the Suns, just make sure we got our own stuff done really well.
Kane Mitchell obviously did really well as a sub the first 3 weeks. Is there any chance that he'll be elevated off the rookie list again for perhaps Brett Ebert or something like that? No, he's not. We've got no long-term injuries now. We've got Salts coming back, and Kane will go back to being on the rookie list and play in the sample this week.
Just on that intimate knowledge, are you confident you've got enough of that to perhaps curb or at least limit Gary to an extent?
Well, I hope so. I think everyone's got that though on Gary. I mean, the whole competition, where everyone watches him, and we all marvel at what he can do. So we've got enough knowledge. It's whether we can execute it well enough.
Is he the best player that you've seen?
Yeah, that's the debate. I think I've seen. I've been lucky. I've seen the best two players I've seen. I think they've both got the same names, so it's you know, it's hard to split. I think you know, Dad was a great player, and obviously Junior's proven to be quite a freak himself.
Could you split one or not?
No, I wouldn't want to do that.
Okay, fair enough.
That inside knowledge that you've got, is that sort of countered a bit by having Matty in the opposition box as well?
Clearly, absolutely, and you know, Matty knows a lot about Port, knows a lot about the players. There's 6 players that, or 5 players this week that he perhaps won't know as much about, but he'll certainly have a really good handle on our group and you know, their strengths and weaknesses. And as I said, like we are, sometimes it can trick you. You know, you just got to make sure you prepare your own team the best way you can.
You don't want to normally you don't want to make changes to a winning side, but you're forced to. Who's in line, you think? Robbie, would he be first up, you think?
No, look, we've got 11, I reckon. We've got 11. We spoke about that on Monday as a group. We know we've got blokes in the sample in really good form. You know, there's a lot of players. Robbie and Dom are certainly the ones that everyone are talking about. You know, Matt Thomas and those sort of players as well. Tommy Logan, Cam Hitchcock. There is 11. Maury, Youngie. There's plenty that we can talk about, and it's going to come down to what we need, you know, and the type of player we need to bring in.
Is Paul Stewart going to be okay, do you think?
Well, we're about to see. We're about to actually train, so we're about to see how he goes. And look, if there's any doubt, we won't take a risk. We've been big on that all year, that we want, you know, our fittest players to be able to come out and play, and that's really important.
Is Corns the obvious matchup for Gary Ablett? I know he's done a pretty good job on Gazza before.
He's certainly got a good record, so he could be certainly one of the ones that we look to use. And you know, we're not going to try and trick the world. Kane Corns is a player that runs with players. He run with Dangerfield on the weekend, and if he runs out there on the weekend and stands beside Gary, I don't think too many people will be surprised.
Ken, clearly everything's going along pretty nicely at the moment. What area are you focusing on that you can still get the biggest improvement from?
Look, we're focusing on everything we do at every session, you know, in every training session. I keep saying it, we want to make sure that we do the little things really well, and we're not going to take our eye off the ball at any stage, and we just need to make sure today's training session is our best training session of the year, and that's what we want to attack it like. We want to come into every session and make sure we get something out of one, and we do improve, and that's what today will be about.
You mentioned that there's 11 players that are fighting for a spot. How nice is it to have that sort of depth in the team? Yeah,
look, it's really important. It's really important to team success, club success. It all comes about because we are a team. We do pick an AFL team, but we are a team of 44 that you know, we all play a part in this. You know, the way the team's playing, and that's really important to have those players ready to go because it keeps pressure on.
Ken, you've got the shortest kicking team in the competition, but it's worked really well for you so far. What's the philosophy behind that?
Oh no, I think it's just take the obvious targets for us. Is that, you know, if there's opportunities to get the ball, move it on quickly. We've made no secret we want to be able to move the ball quite quickly, and you know, if there's a target there, we expect you to take it. So you know, at the moment, and it's really hard. I mean, you hear people talk. There's only 3 games in, so to really get too much of a guide on what the numbers are telling you at the moment, it's a little bit difficult, I reckon.
Clearly, you must have been happy with the way you've managed to hold on to the footy through good kicking as well, not turn it over.
Yeah, we've done a lot of work. I mean, we have clearly done a lot of work over the summer on our skill and our retention of the ball, and we need to make sure, as I said, that we train hard to get it right. You'll see every time we train, you come watch us train, every time we train we do a kicking drill at the start of training to make sure we're kicking the ball well.
Ken, brilliant start to the season. It's got a lot of people from the outside certainly talking you up, saying how good you are. How much do you have to guard against the younger players perhaps getting a bit ahead of themselves?
As long as our method's right and we go about it each week the same way, I don't think we have to worry about that at all. I think it's something that, you know, that gets talked about from outside, but we know internally that we just have to make sure we, as I said, we turn up today and make today our best training session, and that'll mean that we're getting better again, and that's what we've just got to keep doing. We know we've got a long way to go. It's very early in the season. We've had a good start and we're really pleased that we've had a good start, but we know there's still a long way to go.
How much surprised by the significant turnaround in terms of clearances from GWS to Adelaide last week? You know, it was a pretty phenomenal turnaround.
Yeah, well, credit goes to our midfielders and our midfield coaches. You know, Josh and Sean. I made no secret after the GWS we were disappointed with our stoppage work, and you know, we knew it was one of Adelaide's great strengths, and we had to improve. And you know, boys did a lot of work on that last week. They did a lot of you know, time early in the week thinking about what we needed to do, and they executed well.
What does that say about them to be able to respond so quickly to what you single them out and they respond so quickly?
Oh, I think more importantly, I suppose they trust what we're telling them, and you know, they're prepared to go and work on what we're asking them to work on, and you know, they trust their coaches to get the information to them and then give them a solution, and then they've got to execute, which they did really well.
What about Hamish Hartley? He played his 50th this week. How impressed have you been with him since you arrived here?
Yeah, very impressed. Obviously, he's a high class player. He's he's a tough player who likes to win his own ball. He's the type of footballer that you love coaching, and you know, 50 games has probably taken too long to come. You know, and we know that's been some of the issues, some injuries and stuff for some of our younger players, and we just hope that these next 50 come a lot quicker and at the standard he's starting to deliver on a consistent basis.
Are you confident Westhoff can keep up this stunning form?
Yeah, I've got no reason to think he can't. He's, you know, again, like the whole team, as long as they keep doing what they've got to do through the week, prepare themselves well, and come out and play their role within the team. It won't always be Westy or someone. You know, it's what the team's about. It's a team role, and some days it'll be someone who'll have a good day, someone else might not have quite as good a day. But I think collectively that's the important part. They do it together.
Just back on Kane Mitchell, did he show you enough in those 3 sub games to show he's got a long future with this club?
Certainly showed enough to say he can play AFL football, and we're really happy to have him here. I mean, we got him as a rookie pick. We know that you get some wins in the rookie draft, and we think we've got one there with Kane, and we hope that he's a long-term player at our footy club.
Apart from Ablett, what worries you about Gold Coast?
Look, their form. I mean, I think their form's been pretty good. You look at their form. They pushed Sydney, even when Sydney got them at the back half of the game. But their form. They've got St Kilda. With the 2-point game against Brisbane, who have won the NAB Cup. So their form really strong. I mean, I think they're at least a 6-goal better team at Netricon, so which makes them really tough work.
Sorry, John.
Why 6 goals better up there?
I think it's typical of a young club. When you're at your home ground, you get familiar with the things. You understand, and your fans are there. They help you. There's no doubt about that. We've seen that here on the weekend, where you get supportive of your own group, and it certainly helps the players. And typically any young team starts off playing better at home, and then they start to improve on the road.
Ken, you took a punt with a few players in your back half this year. Haven't had a lot of experience. You must be pleased with the way that defence has gelled together.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the back 6, as you said, there's some new boys in there. Jasper's had a good start to the year, and you've got Stevenson and Campbell Heath, and then you've got Tommy Jonas playing some great roles as well, and then led well by their 2 key backs, in Bobby and Jacko. Now, Matty Nix is working really hard to make sure we've got a strong back 6, but again, that's not just that 6. There's 12 or 14 boys that work in the defensive area. Yeah,
so part of the success, I mean, they haven't conceded too many points. Part of that success is stopping the ball going in there easily.
It'll always be that way. Your team defensive structures will always help your back 6 out enormously, and that's what we need to do.
Can you see, heading up to Metricon, can you see that developing into pretty much the toughest road trip in AFL footy in a few years?
At some stage, there's no doubt it'll be one, because it goes on team success, doesn't it? You know, we know with the Perth trips are pretty tough when the teams are up and about. They're always tough. Any interstate trip is a tougher game for you, obviously, but you know they'll be wanting to make it a strong home ground advantage, like we want to make Amy a strong home ground advantage.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.